Hello, everyone. I am Bonnie Souza, and I'm the founder of the Pink Bean Coffee. First, actually, let me congratulate everybody. It sounds like your businesses are amazing, and it sounds like you did an amazing job this year. So I'm sure you're proud of yourself, but I just wanted to say congratulations first off. It is also an honor for me to be speaking here today. It's one of those moments where you feel like you've made a milestone accomplishment in your business when somebody actually wants to hear your story. So I'm humbled and grateful to be here with you today. In preparing for what I should speak about, I was told that the majority of this audience are in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship. So touching on the early years of the Pink Bean and what I learned and some of the hurdles I overcame may be of particular interest or help. So what I'd like to do is start with a timeline of the origination and growth of the bean, and then go through 10 different topics that I learned over the years to be incredibly important in creating and maintaining a business. Then if there are questions, I'm not 100% sure how that works. I think it's over here on the chat, but I'll figure that out when we get there. So the Pink Bean Coffee started as a seed of an idea in 2010 when my father bought property at 202 Slates Ferry Avenue in Somerset for his flower business. I remember being parked outside the gate looking at the overgrown algae-ridden koi pond and the small shack that was there and thinking, this would make a great coffee shop. But it wasn't until 3 years later that I returned to the idea when my father was looking to rent out that shack for some additional income. And I've been known to follow a harebrained idea once or twice or more in my life. So I contacted someone with whom I'd worked in the restaurant industry for several years to see what she thought about a coffee shop idea. By the way, at this point in my life, I was 43, on the verge of divorce, no set career path, and broke. Best time to start a business, right? Yeah, well, that's what we did. So I found someone on Craigslist who marketed himself as a coffee consultant. I paid him to show me how to make what we now call the mojo. And then we made it and sold it at a farmer's market to see if people would like it. And they did. It took off. So within 2 months of doing that, we were asked to open an express coffee shop within a bakery in Fall River on Columbia Street. We opened on October 20th, 2013, and we're excited to be making $25 a day in gross sales. That was not a typo or a misspeak. That was an actual figure, $25 a day. We slowly built up clientele, and in April of 2014, moved to our Purchase Street location with the help of some divine guidance. We didn't want to lose our growing customer base who wanted the mojo. So as the build out was happening, we were on site selling mojo out of a cooler. And don't mention that to the health inspector. So on June 14th, we were done with the renovation, and I opened the doors of the Pink Bean Coffee at our first standalone location. Popularity was rapid as people shared pictures of their mojos on social media, which means growth was rapid. By December of that first year, the business partnership I thought was a good idea was toxic and irreparable, and attorneys were required to mediate the division. A couple of months later, in February, I took over the being a sole owner. Exciting, right? Sole owner. Except that I had always done product development and staffing and left operations up to my business partner. So now, aside from owing my attorney over $8,000, which felt like $1 million to me at the time, I also discovered that the business had not paid any sales tax to date, nada, zip, zilch from day one. I also had to learn payroll. I had to learn cost analysis. I remember Googling, what percentage should payroll be? What percentage should my food cost be? I had no idea. I had $2,500 in the business bank account, payroll to meet, a divided staff to mend. And as if that weren't enough, Mother Nature thought it would be fun to throw in a major blizzard that shut us down every single Sunday and Monday of that month. Oh, and by the way, At this point in my life, the divorce had happened. I was 45, living in my sister's unfinished basement with my 3 dogs, working full-time as a sales manager while running the Bean. Not exactly the picture of success, and probably one of the lowest times of my life. But despite what the universe threw at me, I expanded the footprint and the menu of the Bean 2 times in the next 2 years. And by 2017, we had grown sales from that humble beginning of $25 a day to just over $2,000 a day. And we're now in a position to head back over the bridge to that little shack that sparked the initial inspiration for a coffee shop. So by the end of 2017, I had plans drawn and a construction crew ready to start building out the Somerset Bean renovation. And then in March of the following year, we did start that. We opened the doors to the second location on July 22nd, 2018. Even though our social media posts had over 20,000 organic views, I had no idea what was in store. As we surpassed sales record after sales record that entire first year, I was basically chasing my tail, learning how to run and manage a business at that level. Not to mention, I still had another store to manage. Then just as things were coming under some kind of normalcy and control and processes were worked out, the world came to a screeching halt at the hands of a pandemic, the likes of which we have never experienced. And I had to close both businesses. So what to do? I had 20 employees counting on me and 2 businesses to save. So just like every other hurdle, I looked at my business model, looked at the need, and pivoted to adjust my model to fill the need. Thankfully, we were already a takeout mainly model that offered seating, so the things that I had to adjust to were not as severe as some other businesses. We had to move seating outside. We had to close the inside to customers, convert to window service, and then redesign the service setup to function efficiently with that model. We also added a text to curbside ordering system that has been amazing, literally better than a drive-through window. So that completes the timeline of the Bean and brings us to current day. Well, actually, there's a little more growth that I didn't tell you about, but maybe I'll talk about that later. That's kind of exciting too. So now I'd like to go through some of those experiences and pick out 10 things I've learned that I consider essential to developing and managing a business. And just for fun, I'll count them down from 10 to 1, and 1 being the holy grail of importance to me. So number 10, make things great or don't make them. Do not settle for mediocrity. For me, I would spend days and even in one case, an entire year developing items to get them to a point where I thought, wow, that's delicious. And I was going to say anyone want to guess what took me a year to figure out, but I can't really see. So I'll just tell you, it was acai bowls. Acai bowls took me a year to figure out how to get the consistency right. I could not figure it out. I couldn't get the flavor right. I finally got it, but I did not offer them as an item until it was right. Always aim to exceed your customers' expectations. Number 9, educate yourself on what you don't know. As a business owner, if you're ever called on the carpet for an issue, a response of "I wasn't aware" means absolutely nothing. Whatever business you're in, know the laws that pertain to you. Whether it's building code requirements or health requirements, you need to make yourself educated on all aspects that pertain to your business. If you're hiring a staff, you need to have a handbook that outlines the expectations and rules of the company. You also need to be aware of employment laws and how to handle situations with employees. I would highly suggest joining a human resource organization that allows you to ask questions and get advice when needed. The one that I was recommended to use is called shrm.org. It's membership based. It's not that expensive, but it allows you to get answers to questions and has a ton of resources and classes and things. Number 8, you need a mission statement and make it your compass. You may not have one yet. Hopefully you do. And I'm sure you've heard this from your mentors. But it is something that you need to sit down and write out if you don't have one. I didn't know what my mission statement was until I was forced to sit down and write a business plan to get funding to build out the Somerset store. I'd always felt the direction of the bean, but writing it out solidified it for me. So the mission statement of the bean is this: in an age of food hybridization and deterioration of quality and the overuse of pesticides, it is the mission of the Pink Bean Coffee to provide organic coffees, whole quality, unmodified, healthful foods with options for a variety of restricted diets. Additionally, as our community becomes more detached from each other with heavy dependence on computerized interactions, it seeks to become a destination meeting place for gatherings and events that bring people together. That's what the bean felt like to me. And why do I say make it your compass? You are creating your business, which means you may have a million ideas on how to grow it or where to take it. It's limitless. Entrepreneurs as a whole are innately prone to new ideas that want to take you in different directions, and I'm no exception. It's part of what makes us great, but it can also derail you and take your business in a million different directions, which will weaken it. Think about what your business is. What need is it serving? You're growing a business, which I consider to be much like raising a child. It is a separate entity from you, and you have to respect it as such. Feel the energy of it and find what feels innately true to its existence. Not what you think it should be, but what feels right for this business, if that makes sense to you. And then write your statement. And every time you have to make a decision on what next step to take, go back to your mission statement and make sure your decision supports it. Make it your business's compass, and you will always stay on track. Number 7, hurdles. The universe will test your resolve over and over and over. I've talked about some of the hurdles I've had to overcome on this journey so far, but there have been many, many others, from business owners wanting to take my business or threatening phone calls to scare me out of business expansion, to similar businesses popping up all around us. Challenges are one thing that you will find in spades, whether in business or just in life. How you deal with them is what matters. Feeling like you should control or react to a situation will get you twisted up. The only thing you can control is your response. And when it came to the bean, I always just let things pass through me and focus on doing what we do. Provide excellent food, excellent service, and care about people. What other people want to do on the outside is theirs. Even natural disasters may happen. Stay the course on what you are meant to do in your business, and don't focus on what others may do around you. You will hit hurdles, but if you learn to glide over them, life becomes much more manageable. One of my favorite self-improvement books that I've read over the years is called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. If you're looking for a good read, this one was great with helping me learn how to let hurdles just kind of pass through, which in turn allows you to respond more effectively. All right, number 6, pay attention. As I mentioned, I think of my business as a child that I'm raising to be independent. It gives me that solid visual of keeping my business separate from me and doing whatever's needed for its growth and independence. Part of that is paying attention to changes that will create more efficiency. Look for ways to streamline your process. Sometimes we get stuck in doing things a certain way only because that is how we've always done it. If you stop looking for ways to improve, your brain kind of gets soggy, and it won't seek out new ways. It'll just get stuck in the same way. So let me give you an example. I've always bought Michael Charisse for our Portuguese kid sandwich. How I initially bought it was in patties that were about half an inch thick, and they came like 6 to a package. So we would then take the patty and slice it into 3, or rather I would, because I was afraid someone would hurt themselves trying to slice something that was already close to the slicer blade. I did this for months, if not years. until I had the simple but brilliant idea to ask if they sell it in thicker quantities than the patties. So they did. They sell it in an uncut 8-pound loaf that we slice ourselves, which is so much easier and over $1 a pound less expensive. It's those things that seem brilliant, but that also make you feel so dumb for not realizing it sooner. So pay attention to your business. Constantly ask yourself how you can make it better. Don't let your brain get stuck in the rut of continuing to do the same thing. Like, always look for improvement. Number 5, build your business so anyone can run it. Sometimes, like any parent, we get caught up in the need to feel needed. That means we put everything on ourselves. In the beginning of your business, you have an infant, so doing everything is completely appropriate. You have to nurture it to sustain it. But as it grows, you have the opportunity to set it up to be independent. So what does that look like? For me, part of that was making recipe cards with step-by-step instructions, even if I was the only one cooking. I knew someday I wouldn't be the only one, and someone else would need to know exactly how to create the same product. It was making drink building guides so simple that a new team member could look at it and make a drink the same way as a seasoned barista. It's setting your business up to run efficiently without you there 24/7. It's setting up processes and training others. And that part is a long work in process, but it's important. Otherwise, you can become trapped by your business and feel completely overwhelmed all the time, unable to conceive of growing or expanding because you have too much to do already. And a side note to this section is to use other professionals to help you run your business. You can't know everything, so hire professionals when needed. I use Payroll Express for my payroll and payroll taxes, and I use tax consultants for all my taxes and accounting and payments. And for me, that is money well spent and peace of mind knowing that I'm compliant with all regulations and on-time payments. There's no way I could know all of that. It's a completely different business. Number 4, customers. There's a lot actually I could say about customers. There's social media aspects, there's marketing, there's all kinds of things, but I'm just going to suffice to say, always treat customers like they are friends you haven't seen in a while. Care about their experience and never let yourself or your staff forget that the only reason you have a business and they have a job is because you have customers. Always send out gratitude to your customers. All right, number 3 and number 2. I put these two together. They're not similar in any way, but I feel like they are equally important. They're both extremely important, and neither one more than the other. The first one is know your numbers. Super important. This makes me think back to that first year with my business partner. I remember she decided we needed a manager for the store. Even though one of us was always there and we were a brand new business trying to get off the ground, regardless, I recall her asking me to look up what the average pay was for a manager of a coffee shop so that she knew what to pay this manager that she wanted. She wasn't asking me what can the business afford. She was asking what the national average was, which means it was a guess. And that is just ridiculous. Your numbers are your business. Your numbers are your business. If you don't know your costs, then you're simply guessing at what price to sell your product. And there is no faster way to sink your business. Sales income is the only avenue to grow your business and make it profitable. If you don't know how much something costs you to sell, you have no idea if your company is making money or not. In my business, I created, with the help of one of the team members, an Excel workbook that breaks down every single item that we have and then transfers that value to every recipe it's used in so that we have a cost percentage on everything that we sell that is all tied to inventory. So if a supply price changes, I plug it in and it will affect the cost percentage of any recipe that uses that item. So I'm always up to date on what my costs are. It took perseverance to build, but it was necessary. Now, as long as I keep within my percentage ranges, I know my business will be healthy. Equally as important as knowing your numbers is your staff. Having worked in the restaurant industry for over 20 years prior to opening the Bean, it has never escaped my understanding that a restaurant is only as good as its staff. There is so much to understanding staffing. I literally could give a speech on that topic alone. Staffing will likely be your biggest expense, and if you have a good staff and are a good leader, it is where you may spend a lot of your energy. Your staff will set the energy in your store, so it is important to invest in them. Care about them and keep in mind they are who is helping you grow your business. They are who you've chosen to help you grow your business. So you need to, in turn, help them grow. And finally, after much ado, the number one thing I've learned to be essential to growing and maintaining a business is gratitude. Gratitude is an energy with a very high vibration pattern, like love. The universe is comprised of energy that flows in and around us every day and is attracted to like energy, which means simply the energy you put out is what you receive. So if you feel gratitude, you receive things to be grateful for. If you give love, you receive things to love. It is the way the universe works, and it is the fastest way to grow your business. And when I say gratitude or feeling gratitude, I don't mean just saying, yes, I have gratitude. It's not something you can fake. I mean actually living in the feeling of gratefulness for what has come to you and you are a part of. Every day in those early years, as I was locking up the Fall River Bean, I would turn around and just look at the store for a moment when it was still and quiet and I was the only one there. And almost well up with how much I loved it and how grateful I was that people loved it too, and I was a part of this. Now remember, those early years were some of the hardest I've ever gone through. I could have focused on the strife, but instead focused on the love and gratefulness I had for my business and the customers who supported it. And more of that was returned to me in ways I could never have expected or planned. So find things you are grateful for and let that feeling well up in you. Find things you can do to live in that feeling as much as you can. I'll leave you with a little known fact about me as an example of what I do in my life to promote that feeling in me and spread it to others. So when I walk my dogs or if I go running or sometimes even drive my car, I'll usually bring change with me. And every now and again, I'll grab a coin from my pocket and silently thank it for coming into my life and adding to my abundance. And then I'll toss it to the ground with a hope that whoever finds it will experience a rush of excitement and gratitude for having found it. And in that way, I get to spread little drops of gratitude everywhere I go. So if you ever need some extra coin, just follow me around on a walk and you might be able to scrape some up. I know this was a long talk and there are other things to get to, but I hope that it was useful for you. I really loved going back and thinking through all the experiences I've had in growing the Bean to be able to prepare for this speech. As you grow your own businesses, you will keep all those experiences and struggles and hopefully victories in your own timeline and very close to your chest. And you will find that very few, if any, people actually know the full story of what you went through to grow your business. So getting to share it is very exciting. For me, I have only one, and now you all, but one person who has been by my side nearly the entire up and down ride and who is now my partner in business and life. And she actually started out as a customer in that very small little express location on Columbia Street. Crazy what can happen. So hang on to your hats. I wish you all the best. If I can be of any further resource, please reach out to me. I am happy to help. And thank you all for listening.
Bonnie, thank you so much. What an inspiring story. We really, really appreciate you. I know that people can't unmute to applaud, but I'm going to applaud. So thank you. I don't know if you saw the chat, but people were certainly inspired by what you had to say. So
good. I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Thank you.